Hey guys, it's Mia here, and if you read the title of this video, which I'm sure you have, you know I'm going to be talking about Tangled, this series. Now, I recently just finished the series about 2 days ago, probably a little longer by the time you're watching this, but at the time of recording this, I finished the show 2 days ago. Now, I'm not going to be showing clips from the show for obvious reasons because I'm sure that would get copyrighted so fast because of YouTube guidelines, but I will be showing pictures to emphasize my point, and this is fair use because it is transformative, it is review, it is commentary, and it's fair use at that point. But the pictures are not mine, they are owned by Disney, just to clarify. So now that we got that out of the way, the art styles are so different from the movie to the show. And when I first discovered the show, which I binged it, I was pleasantly surprised at the show because the art style scared me. Because normally when a movie gets turned into a show, obviously the show is going to be lower budget than the movie because they have to turn out more over a longer period of time. So, for example, like the Shadowhunter movie versus the Shadowhunter show. In my opinion, even though I liked the show, Shadowhunters seemed like a Halloween ripoff of the movie, and that's often how that stuff happens. So when I saw that the movie looked like this, and then the show looked like this, I was a little skeptical on how the show is going to turn out. But honestly, it pleasantly surprised me on how good the show actually was and how good it focused on the lore. And I'm like, it's still made by Disney, so of course they'd want the show to be integral to the movie. And the show is actually taking place between the events of most of the movie and the ending narration that they do at the end of the movie, where it's telling you so much more stuff happened and how it took Flynn years to finally ask Rapunzel to marry him. So in a way, you know how the show is going to end because it tells you how the show is going to end at the end of the movie. So one of the things I noticed right off the bat was that the movie voice actors for Rapunzel and Flynn sounded so similar to the show's part. And I'm like, either they got the same exact voice actors, which is rare for this kind of thing. Normally they get lower budget voice actors or just completely different ones in general for the show than they had from the movie. And a lot of times that is very jarring for me because in the movie they sounded one way and then in the show they sound completely different. So I did look it up on Google while I was watching, and our two main leads, Rapunzel and Flynn, or Eugene as he goes by in the whole show, are actually voiced by the voice actors that voiced them in the movie, which was a nice touch for me, and it made it feel much more connected to the movie. And even though the show gives me like 16 vibes, like, have any of you seen that show? But if you haven't, this is the art style for 16. And that's the kind of vibe that I got off. The show was that kind of art style that 16 used. At first that was distracting because it was such a big jump in art style from the movie to the show. But as I kind of let that go and actually focused on what was happening in the show and how the story was heading, I was like, you know what? The art style doesn't matter. This is actually a really well done show, and you could tell they put effort into it, as opposed to like, here's a popular movie, let's make it into a show to get as much money as possible. Yes, that could have been their angle, but unlike other times when shows come out of movies, they actually put effort into the show, and it really shows. And we still have our main four I'm calling them, the main four. We have Rapunzel, obviously, because it's her show. Eugene, because he's the biggest, they're the biggest two. And then you have Pascal, and of course, you still have your main four. And that's great. They're still there. And let me just say, Pascal, I just love Pascal. He's so, like, quirky and smart for a chameleon. Even though Eugene calls him a frog all the time. And there were also a lot of callbacks to the movie. Not making fun of them, but showing how this ties into the story at this point. With all of the characters. And then, on top of the characters, you have Rapunzel's handmaiden. And she's very antagonistic to Eugene. She does not like Eugene and his attitude at all, because she's a very hardworking, driven, I'm gonna do this and I need to do this now, no nonsense type of person. Where Flynn is all lax, all just whatever happens, happens. I'm just gonna go with the flow and do it that way. So they clash a lot, and at some points it does get a little annoying because I'm like, you two are acting like 6-year-olds. Can you just focus? But her name is Cassandra. So Cassandra basically becomes Rapunzel's best friend because they're around each other all the time, and she's like her main guard. So she is another new addition character. Then you have the king and queen, who in the movie didn't talk at all and they looked like this. But in the show, they look like this. And they actually talk. One of the things that annoyed me most about Rapunzel's dad, Rapunzel's mom, she's fine, she's great. Her and Rapunzel are so much alike, barring their hair color. But Rapunzel's dad gets it in his head that, oh, she's being hunted again. We need to lock her up in the tower under guard. And I'm like, you are doing exactly what her kidnapper of 18 years did to her. And that is not okay. I get that you're trying to protect her, but that is exactly what Mother Gothel said she was trying to do. And you are acting no better than her kidnapper. So, speaking of Mother Gothel, where she looks like this in the movie, she looks like this in the show. And Mother Gothel really isn't brought up as an antagonist. Most of where we see Mother Gothel is through flashbacks of what happened in the tower, or Rapunzel having nightmares about what happened in the tower, and just things like that. So she kind of has PTSD and of what happened, because who wouldn't in that situation? She was kidnapped for 18 years, thinking her kidnapper was her mother. That would give anybody PTSD. So, on top of the characters that we already know and Cassandra, we also have one of the main characters who's in it from the beginning, and his name is Varian. Now, Varian isn't brought up in the movie at all, but he is introduced in the show, and he looks like this. So with our main cast of characters kind of brought together, the ones that are there the most, there are a lot more. Like, the bar thugs from the movie are there, and that's kind of what they call the whole group in the movie, is bar thugs, or in the show, is bar thugs. So they're there, but they're kind of just like side character, filler character, and the stupid one that always is drunk is always there, and he's supposed to be, I guess, the comic relief, even though the others play off each other well enough. So I'm not going to mention them. And then later on you have a character named Lance, one of Eugene's old thievery friends, who becomes like one of the main characters. So our cast is now Rapunzel, Maximus, Eugene, who I always want to call Flynn, and Cassandra, Varian, and Pascal. Those are our main 6. Her parents aren't there very much, but they are still there. Now, what happens in the show is that it starts out after Rapunzel's hair was cut and she was introduced to the castle and all that. Cassandra is kind of helping Rapunzel get used to being a princess. She is Rapunzel's lady-in-waiting, so she has to help her adjust. And of course she's not very happy with this because she wants to be in the guard. She doesn't want to be a lady-in-waiting. She wants to be on the front lines fighting. But she learns to get used to that. And Rapunzel wants to get out of the castle for a bit because her dad is still like, you can't go anywhere. I just got you back from this situation you were in for so many years. So Cassandra gets it in her head that they're going to sneak out to have Rapunzel have some freedom and, kind of get to trust her and whatnot. So they go out and end up stumbling upon these rocks, these black rocks that are literally unbreakable. And Rapunzel, not hearing the phrase, curiosity killed the cat, goes up and touches one of those crystals. And this huge explosion blasts them back. And they're like, oh, we gotta get out of here. We shouldn't have done that. And as they're leaving, Rapunzel's long hair comes back in its glory. And they're like, we can't tell anyone about this. We just have to come up with this lie of what really happened. Because if they know that how I got my hair back, Cassandra's going to be in trouble. They'll probably ban her from the kingdom. And who knows what they're going to think then. I'll never be allowed out of the castle again. So her hair's back. Her powers are back. So that is where Varian comes in. And Varian, this is one of the parts that annoyed the crap out of me in this show. So Varian is an alchemist, or a scientist, if you want to call it either way. They call it alchemy throughout the show. So they go to him in order to figure out what is going on with Rapunzel's hair and how it got its properties back. And they find out that it does not possess its healing qualities like it once did, but it itself is as unbreakable as these black rocks that Rapunzel touched. So Varian is intrigued by this, and him being a scientist, he's like, well, I want to figure this out. And Varian is such a sweet kid. He is a kid. I don't know exactly how old because they never exactly state his age, but he is a kid. Where Rapunzel and Flynn, Rapunzel's 18, Cassandra's age is never brought up, and Eugene is 25. So there's quite the age gap between Varian and Eugene and the whole cast. He's just a 16-year-old little kid who's obsessed with science, and he's just so fun and just so innocent. And then, because he was trying to make his father proud of him, because his inventions keep messing up, and making a mess of things. So he's like, I'm gonna make you proud, Dad. I promise I'll make you proud. I'm gonna figure out what these black rocks are so we can stop the spread of them around the kingdom. And in doing so, in trying to show his dad what he can do with these black rocks, he traps his dad in the amber. And he's like, this is all my fault. What am I going to do? I have to go to Rapunzel because she promised she would help me get to the bottom of these black rocks. I need Rapunzel to do this. I need her. And at the time he goes to help for Rapunzel, she is busy with protecting her whole entire kingdom. Not just one person, her whole kingdom. And so understandably, she's like, Varian, I can't help you right now. I have a whole kingdom on my hands that I have to protect. And he's like, you promised me. You promised we would do this. You're turning your back on me. You're breaking your promise when I need you most. Rapunzel's like, I want to help you, but I can't. We can figure it out later. And he goes evil. And I'm like, boy, She's not abandoning you. She had bigger issues. I know you love your dad, and I know it's sad, but she has 10 times more lives to worry about right now. And I was just like, it hurt my heart to see this lovable little innocent boy who loves science turn into this horrible villain. That part annoyed me. I'm like, I hate you, show. I hate you. Why? But luckily things get worked out. And then Cassandra. She is not really a stick in the mud, but she's just kind of bitchy. She is so bitchy toward like Flynn and towards Rapunzel. And I get that she's supposed to be the no nonsense, no screwing around person. But like, oh my goodness, she is constantly like head up in the air like she's better than everybody and kind of always annoyed with Rapunzel even though she's the princess. And this whole time, while simultaneously being her lady in waiting, she is like jealous of Rapunzel. And it kind of spirals out of control until they have to find the Moonstone, which is the counterpart to the Sun Drop. And they think that that is what will stop the Black Rocks. So they have to go on this huge quest to find it with all the characters, and they go there, and Rapunzel did get a warning that one of her people would betray her, but Cassandra, like, out of nowhere, freaking takes the Moonstone and is like, this is mine now. So now she looks all crazy like this. Because of what the Moonstone did, it transformed her. And now she has armor as strong as these unbreakable rocks. And it literally becomes like the clash of the sun and the moon from then on. And Cassandra, who was supposed to be her Rapunzel's protector and her best friend, becomes the main antagonist of the entire show. I mean, that worked for me because Cassandra was always kind of like, there is something about you that I just don't trust, and I don't like how that you think you're better than everybody and you act like this towards everyone. I have a feeling that something's going to happen. And as soon as the prediction came up where one of her party was going to betray her, of course it's going to be Cassandra, because she's got this hidden jealousy, this hidden anger. She's always acting better than Rapunzel. So basically it becomes a clash of day and night, good and evil, again. And it is just so well done. There are a few filler episodes, but they're not bad. They're not like obnoxious like some anime is. Like some anime can have entire seasons of nothing but filler. But this show doesn't do that. It has occasional filler episodes, but it gets right back on track very quickly. And I love that. I think the characters played off each other very well. The show was surprisingly really good. I was skeptical as soon as I saw the art style, and as soon as I was like, oh no, they made Tangled a show. It's probably going to be a cheap ripoff of the movie. And it was not. It was really well written. The voice actors for our main two were the same. The characters played off each other really well, and the story was really well told. If you haven't seen this show yet, I'm sorry for spoilers. I tried not to spoil anything really major, but if you haven't seen the show, I recommend it. I went ahead when I found the show because I was just looking around for shows to watch because I was bored out of my mind, so I just went ahead and looked at shows, and that's how I found Tangled, the show. So what I did was I went back, watched the movie since it's been a couple years since I have. I watched the show's introduction movie, and then I watched the show from there. So I came in with the full picture. So if you haven't seen Tangled the series, even though the art style is dramatically different from the movie, I highly recommend you watch it because it is really well done, and I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing my review of Tangled, the show, and I hope to see you next time. Bye, guys.